Let's see how long this takes to show up here. All right. I think we're live from Lindau, Germany. It always takes a little while for the stream to actually connect, and if I start talking too soon, it gets cut off. So, hi, Regina. The technology I'm using to do this that I was testing the other day, unfortunately, it doesn't allow me to see comments. However, since I'm sitting here in my hotel room, I have my laptop, and if you're watching on Facebook, I'm going to monitor for comments. So, I'm at the Hotel Ratstuben in Lindau, Germany, and I don't know where to begin, but I have some good news and some bad news. The good news is I'm in Germany. Wow. I was in London, and then I was in Germany, in one part of Germany, now another. It's already been an amazing trip in so many ways that I haven't even begun to tell you. But the trip to this gig in Germany has allowed me to be over here and do other things while I'm here. So I actually, before I came here, I got to visit a friend of mine, a comedian who, frankly, his name's Bent Washburn, and it's Bengt. And I say that because, hey, Elizabeth, I'm back in Lindau. Nadine, greetings from Gero, Philip, Christoph, Anka, Yulia, and Nadine. Are you all together? This makes me so sad. I'm about to tell people what my situation is. I forget which day. I just saw Gero. So this trip has been kind of amazing already. I can't wait. Wait till I tell you what happened in London. But it involves Brian May and Queen. Hi, everybody. Gero, I hope you don't get sick from sitting next to me. Oh, I just said it. I got COVID. I came here for this whole trip, which is 2.5 weeks long, made possible by this gig that I have a 7-year relationship with. It enabled me to do something really amazing last week. And then I also, Bent Washburn, I was going to say, is a hilarious comic. We didn't even know each other that well, frankly. We know each other from way back, but not that well. But then I spent a couple days at his house infecting him and his family. No, I kid. He'd already had it recently, so... Wait, who's Enrico? Brian, you are the superstar in Lindau. Wait a minute. Enrico, who are you? Do I know you? We're not friends. Ah, you're friends with Christoph and Francisco, but I don't even really know who that is. So, for those of you who don't know, the Lindau Nobel Laureate meeting is this amazing meeting. It's been going on. It's the 71st annual year, and it's about bringing together young scientists, hundreds of young scientists from up to 100 different countries to spend a week hanging around with, being mentored by, and not in a strict like scientific way, but learning just getting to spend really quality time with a couple dozen, sometimes a few dozen Nobel laureates, and just being able to sit and talk about work-life balance, technical questions, share their research, bounce stuff off them, but also just personal stuff about life and about being a scientist. And anyway, it's a really amazing meeting. I mentioned in my last stream that it's got this great motto, educate, inspire, connect. And, you know, it's a good thing that's kind of my motto too, because thanks to some of the people that I connect with, I'm being very well taken care of. This meeting, it's a little bit scaled down this year because of COVID, so that there's an online part where at least 100 young scientists are taking part in, and then several hundred are here. Turns out a few extras are virtual because they got COVID right before their trip. So I lost my train of thought, but that's okay. I'm sick with the COVID. So this meeting, there's a lot of outdoor stuff, but the sessions are all in this great venue, the Inselhalle. And before you go in each day, you have to have a negative COVID test. And I got here early. The meeting really started today, Sunday, with an opening ceremony and a first session or two, and then it really starts in earnest tomorrow on Monday. But I arrived after spending a couple really fun days in Stuttgart with Bent, and I got to visit Heidelberg for the first time. I've never been. And so Gero is a guy that used to be who I worked with here from the communications team of the meeting for the first few years until he took a different job and moved to Heidelberg. And when we were in Stuttgart, my friend was totally up for some day trips, so we went to Heidelberg and got to see this castle and everything, and meet up with Gero for like coffee and lunch. So that was awesome, and I hope you're okay. I'm sorry. I feel like Typhoid Mary. And you know what? Right now, my voice is a little rough. I know it's always rough, but frankly, it's just because I've been talking all day. And I've been isolated in my hotel room, but I do a lot of voice to text messaging. A lot of people have been checking on me, but I'm actually feeling way better today. And my voice wasn't this rough hours ago. And I probably coughed 2 times today, and I slept better last night. But what happened is I came in early Friday, got settled in, and yesterday I was gonna go over and have a meeting with the communications team. And so you have to they have a testing station at the venue, and I got a rapid test that you're supposed to get the results within 15 minutes. And my result came in like 90 seconds. And I was like, are you sure this is right? It came quick. And they said the result just came up really quick. And that's the first time I've tested positive. I think I had COVID 2.5 years ago at the very beginning of the pandemic. And it's actually because of that I thought I just had a cold because the symptoms did not seem like COVID. I previously had this shortness of breath, and this dry, unproductive cough. Well, no shortness of breath, really, just a sore throat and a runny nose and congestion. And when I coughed, there was phlegm. You don't need to know that, except it wasn't it didn't seem to be the COVID symptoms. So they are. After I got the positive COVID, the rapid test, I did a PCR test, and it's supposed to be 24 to 48 hours, and it's been about 30-something hours, and I don't have the results yet, but it is Sunday. And I did a PCR test I was trying to be optimistic, but if it comes up negative, that'll be fantastic. But what are the odds? I was sick with something. So, yeah, hi, Linda. Enrico, we met in 2018. Excellent. Okay, well, I'm sure if I clicked on your face and made it a little bigger, I'd recognize you. But thanks for saying hi. I'm supposed to be running around this beautiful, medieval, idyllic island and meeting people and interviewing people. But instead, because I have connected with a lot of people, Christoph, I don't know if you guys are still watching or hopefully you're doing your own thing there, but him and his wife have taken great care of me, and the hotel. I stayed here last year, and they remember me, and they're being very kind and bringing me food, and I'm quarantining in a hotel room, so it's beautiful outside. It's so beautiful out there, and frankly, I could be running around there and be completely isolated, but and not infect anyone. But sounds like Omicron after 30 days. I'm finally getting better. I hope you get well soon. Jennifer, I hope you get better soon. I had a couple days where I felt shitty, and then last night I slept much better, and I woke up, and I might not be 100%, but I definitely feel better. And I did participate virtually. There's some online stuff, and today I was connecting with some people, and I actually lined up some possible virtual interviews. But what I really want to do, I'm using some new technology, and as people have commented, the stream, does it look good tonight? Because here I'm connected to the Wi-Fi, and yes, when I did my test the other day, it was yesterday, the other day. Not this day, but the other day, which happens to be, we call that day yesterday. I was sending out a pretty good signal, higher resolution than the Facebook app, and we're going to multiple channels. Anyway, the people here are being so nice and taking care of me. I've got more food than I could possibly finish, and lots of fruit, and local fruit. I just had some local, thanks to Petra. Christoph, thank you. I had local strawberries and local cherries, I think, and raspberries and grapes and blueberries, and there's a big avocado I haven't gotten to, and there's local apples, and fruit juice, and Regina says, I'm sure it'll be short duration. We need you out there interviewing people. I need to be out there interviewing people. I did have fun online today, though. Okay, so this sore throat, this is just from 12 hours of talking, because I didn't sound like this earlier today. I should just be resting. I shouldn't be talking. There's people in that room right there. I shouldn't be talking loud. I don't know why I'm getting closer to the camera when it's this microphone that I should be getting closer to. But it looks better to get closer to the camera. But I don't know. What I should do is raise this up. Whoops. Hold on a sec. It's a good thing I have pants on, huh? Or shorts, anyway. So this is only the second time today that I've had a shirt on. Because to do the virtual thing, I had to put a shirt on for that. And, you know, like, there's no air conditioning here, which is pretty common in Germany. And I'm sure it's fine most of the year. But in the summer, some summers have been pretty hot. I have a beautiful window with a beautiful view. If it weren't completely dark out, I would show you. But it's over there. Oh, you know what? I actually do want to test this. Because the Facebook app, if you'll excuse me, sometimes I slip into technical mode. Because the Facebook app, you can help me with this. The Facebook app, it used to be if you flipped cameras to the other facing camera and then flipped back, there was a real tendency for the audio and video to go out of sync. And also, sometimes the audio changes. So, but I'm using a plugged-in lavalier mic. So, tell me. See, look, I can check your comments right here. Otherwise, I couldn't see them. But that's my beautiful window. The TV has not been turned on. And just this great spread over here. There's some of my gear. I already had laundry done. That stuff that I'm done with. They brought me sushi. Isn't that nice of them? But I'm kind of curious if the audio changed at all when I flipped the camera, and then if it causes it to go out of sync. So that's just doing a little testing. Can I taste and smell all that local produce? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I don't think I lost my sense of taste or smell. What's something I can smell? I don't know. These things aren't that aromatic. I smell something. Like, do kiwis have a very strong smell? Interesting. I don't think none of those things smelled particularly strong, but I've been eating food and tasting stuff, and I don't think I've lost my sense of smell. But thanks, Craig. I'm in sync. I am in sync. Craig, I just told you part of my story. Do y'all want to hear a story? I guess I wasn't really ready to share this yet because I don't have the punchline yet. Oh, the best test is coffee. You're right. But unfortunately, like, I don't have any ground coffee. I don't want to make any right now. There are these little, kind of like those Keurig machines. It's like a machine and these little things. No, I definitely have taste. I've been tasting things. Hold on a second. Petra brought me a bunch of tea and some honey. That totally tastes like honey. In fact, it is honey. So I think I have a sense of taste, at least for honey. Okay. So Christoph also sent over some rapid. Here's one of the huge advantages. So you can read those words, right? Those words are not backwards, are they? They're not mirrored to you. They're mirrored on my screen, but you're not seeing them backwards. If I were using the Facebook app, something I noticed 7 years ago when I first came here and started live streaming, I noticed that the signal goes out as a mirror image, flipped. And it's not true on YouTube when you stream. And if you take a picture of yourself or a video with just the iPhone camera, it will appear backwards on the screen when you're doing it for convenience, so that when you lift your left hand, the hand on the left lifts. So while you're doing it, it appears backwards. But that's not what goes out to the people. But Facebook was doing it 7 years ago, and it's like, okay, they're new to live streaming. They're going to fix that. Well, 7 years later, they haven't fixed that. It's ridiculous. You start to wonder, has anyone at your company ever used your product? I think that about products all the time. Okay, it's not mirrored. All right, Regina, this story is a Queen story. It's a Brian May story. You know, I just saw on Facebook, I hadn't been on Facebook at all lately, and they served up a memory. 3 years ago, I got to participate in the most amazing event, besides this one, called Starmus. Star in Music, Starmus, and it's a project of Brian May and this astrophysicist Garrick Israelian, and basically it's a big celebration of science and astronomy and music, art and science, and it features rock star friends of Brian, and then all these astronauts and astronomers and other scientists and Nobel laureates, and it was. There's a bell chiming, and it's at 11 p.m. here. Anyway, Facebook just served me up this great Brian May memory because I got to work with him, which is absurd. I have been a Queen fan for almost longer than I care to admit, for over 45 years. When I was in junior high and high school, totally fell in love with the band and got to see them in 1980 and 1982 with Freddie Mercury, and just the biggest fan. And I had posters of them on my wall, plural posters. One was just a picture of the band, and another was this big wall-sized poster that had many images. So like Brian May, his face was on my wall multiple times. Huge fan. And somehow I ended up co-hosting this opening ceremony with someone who became a good friend, Chase Masterson. And the opening ceremony featured the Hans Zimmer Orchestra. It said in the post how many, here it is, a 42-piece orchestra and a 36-person choir. And then Steve Vai, electric guitarist extraordinaire, would join them. And then and Rick Wakeman, a keyboard player extraordinaire from Yes. And then Chris Hadfield, the Canadian astronaut. And it's the COVID, man. It's messing with my brain. He sang A Space Oddity, the David Bowie song that he had made a video for while he was on the International Space Station. I got to bring those three guys, I got to bring on stage and interview for like 2 minutes before they gave their performances with the orchestra. And if you see my Facebook post, the day before the event, we're meeting in this rehearsal space off-site, separate from where the venue was for the show the next day. And me and Chase, and we didn't know what we were exactly doing for the opening ceremony, and we were going to work it out that day. And we just sat down after talking a lot to finally do it. And then the woman in charge of the planning of the opening, she gets a phone call, and she goes, Dr. May just arrived. Because you know he's an astrophysicist. He has a PhD. He was working on it before Queen. He completed it when he was 59 years old, because he's that kind of guy. She goes, Dr. May just arrived, and he's going to rehearse. Would you like to go down and watch for a while? And we said, yes, surprisingly. And so we went down, and if you look at the pictures on my last Facebook post, it's pictures of him singing the song 39, which is from the same album as You're My Best Friend and Bohemian Rhapsody, A Night at the Opera. It's an amazing song. It's a folk song about a relativistic space journey. Pretty hacky. You've heard it before. How many times have you heard a folk song about relativistic effects during a long space journey? It's been so done. It's been done one time by Brian May, who would ultimately get his PhD in astrophysics, as we said. So we got to watch him sing with an orchestra from, I don't know, I'm not even zoomed in. Look at these pictures. He was right over there. It was kind of amazing. And you know, I haven't really told many people this. And I guess this is an important part of the story to tell you what just happened last week. Brian May not only is an astrophysicist, he's a huge animal rights activist, and he's a publisher now. All his life, since he was very young, he's had this passion for stereo photography, 3D photography. And you've seen, if you're old enough, you remember Viewmasters, or you've seen 3D movies. The whole idea of 3D is that we have two eyes that give us two different angles on things, and our brain constructs a 3D image from that. And if you have one eye, you don't really have depth perception. There are cues. You know that, buildings are bigger than humans, so there are other visual cues, but you don't have actual depth perception. And with our eyes this far apart, you only have depth perception out about 30 feet, because beyond that, these really aren't two different angles. Can you imagine that? That if you're staring at something, if it's far away, these two angles, like what's an angle here, kind of becomes two parallel lines. It's like, imagine a mile away, you no longer have two different perspectives. However, if you had eyes out here, you could have depth perception out farther. Anyway, he's always been into 3D photography. When he got successful with the band, he had money, he started being a collector, and he's an interesting mix of high-tech and old school. He loves science and tech tools like Photoshop and Pro Tools that they use to do audio stuff. But he also really loves the old stuff. His favorite 3D stuff is the original old Victorian stereo cards. Maybe you've seen, you know what? I almost never have the ability when I'm telling this story to do this, but since I have the laptop here, you've seen this kind of stuff, right? Victorian stereoscopes. So, like, that's a card that has two images taken by a stereo camera, and then the idea of the device is to make sure that your left eye only sees the left image and your right eye only sees the right image, and then it can recreate the stereo vision we have. So Brian May has been passionate about this forever and started collecting old stuff. And then, as part of his collection, he resurrected the London Stereoscopic Company, which existed in the 1850s. And which, by the way, as soon as photography was invented, stereophotography was invented, because the guy, Wheatstone, that invented and first sort of put forth the concept, He did it before photography. He did it with drawings. He understood what this concept, and he duplicated it with drawings, by drawings that represented two different angles. So when photography came along, the idea was already there, and they instantly had stereo photography. And there were famous stereo photographers, and the London Stereoscopic Company, I don't think, was not the only company that would produce these sets of stereo cards. And that's the kind of thing he would collect, like these rare, interesting Victorian stereo cards. And the London Stereoscopic Company started putting out books, and I don't even know, they've probably got 15 or more books out now. Their first one came out in like 2010, I want to say. I love that phrase. I want to say why. Okay, we'll just say it then. So I know this is a lot of detail, but I swear it's all necessary. Maybe not all of it, but bear with me. Let me come back to Facebook too. Are you still with me? Amy Baker, hey, I have some very old equipment I inherited from my dad. It's pretty cool photography equipment, yeah. And, okay, so Brian has also become one of the biggest evangelists for stereoscopy. And when they published their first book, The London Stereoscopic Company, I was making science videos for Time magazine. And a friend of mine, fortunately, I was living in San Francisco, and my friend Kevin Kataoka was in LA, and he calls me up and he goes, hey, Brian, do you know that Brian May is coming to give a talk at Griffith Observatory in Los Angeles? And I did not know. And I arranged to interview him when I was working for Time magazine. And but he wouldn't even remember that. He's got a very busy life. But I had a couple encounters with him before, but he wouldn't remember this. But flash forward, and Queen was resurrected. And the past 10 years, they've been doing shows with Adam Lambert. And I've seen, a few in the United States and in London, partially thanks to this meeting. I mean, I'm sure you know some fans, maybe you do, some music fans that are like this. One of my friends, a few years back, flew over to London because Kate Bush, who hadn't performed, who's having a resurrection now, but some 10 years ago, she hadn't performed in so long, and she did a series of shows in London, and he wasn't going to miss it. And I know other people that have flown overseas to see concerts, and Queen is the kind of band that inspires that in people. Their shows are really joyous. I'm not going to elaborate on that too much, but it's why people see them multiple times. And I had a situation, like, this is amazing. I've been coming to this meeting in Germany for 7 years. And 3 times, 3 of those years, Queen has been doing shows in London, either the week after or the week before. So I either came in early or extended the trip, and I'd pop over to London, and I saw maybe 2 shows. They would be doing 3, and I would see 2. This time they did 10 shows in London, and I went to 2. And the year before Starmus, see, all of this fits together. I swear there's a little bit of fluff, but mostly it's also, by the way, do you like the little horn? I don't know if you noticed, but when I was streaming yesterday, I had this horn, and I might have had a second one. I don't know why, but it's very persistent. So I can't seem to get rid of it. Maybe I'll shower. I don't know. That's a novel idea. So, here's where the story gets good. There are ways to take stereo pictures without a stereo camera, but the best way is to have a stereo camera, again, with the visual aids. Hold on a sec. A stereo camera is a camera that has 2 lenses that are approximately the same distance between them as our eyes. And it takes two pictures simultaneously to create a stereo image. And this camera, so they've existed, so stereo cameras have been around forever. But some years ago, Fuji made this, two models of this camera, but they didn't last that long. They were discontinued. There's not the biggest market for it. But this is a very popular camera with stereo photographers. You can acquire them like on eBay, cheaper than they originally cost. And Brian May has one, at least one, and he's, like I said, a big evangelist for 3D. And so he talks about it and shares images, and he's very active on Instagram. A few years back, he was active on Twitter. Then he moved over to Instagram, and he's very active on Instagram. And he interacts with a lot of fans, too, and he shares a lot of fan art and stereo photos. And so, the year before I went to Starmus, Starmus was 2019. In 2018, I went to 2 Queen shows in London, and I got up close. So you have to be close, within 20 feet, to get good stereos. And I took some really good pictures. I mean, I knew when I was looking at it on the screen, there's a screen on back that's lenticular that allows you to see the 3D image. Lenticular is like those baseball cards or like a poster of Jesus where, you know, you move and it looks 3D. And I used to have baseball cards like that. There was a screen like that. And so the Queen stage show, the lighting and everything that would change for every song, Regina, show us your W3. I did. And I'm sorry, Regina, that's how I got into this too. I got their first book, A Village Lost and Found, the London Stereoscopic Company, and I started experimenting with stereo photography. And flash forward, Brian May is on Instagram, and he's talking about an app that you can use, and I see that he also has this camera. And once I got into it a little, I got one of the cameras, and I brought it to this Queen show in 2018, and I was taking pictures, and they were phenomenal. And the London Stereoscopic Company will sometimes have contests. And after the shows, another stereo fan, Helen Boville, even it was not in her interest to tell me this, but she sent me a note going, hey, Brian, the London Stereoscopic Company's having a contest. Send us your best stereos from the London shows. And so the next morning I prepared some images and I sent them over and I won the contest. I had some really beautiful pictures and I won the contest, and that's when Brian May started following me on Instagram. And he shared some of my photos and he said nice things about them. And then occasionally he would see my posts and like them, and I'll see him in my notifications, seeing my stories. And there was a cool Freddie Mercury thing I shared once, that an image I made that he liked. And the weirdest, most surreal, like, it makes sense that he liked my science stuff and my stereo stuff, but one time I voted, just once, and it was about, I don't know, 2019 or 20, when was it? And I posted a selfie that said, participating in the democratic process while we still have one. And Brian May liked that post, and that just seemed odd. It was so surreal that he liked a selfie of me. And, okay, so 2018, he starts following me. And then I meet him in 2019. And I'm almost too embarrassed to tell you this story. But why stop now, right? So we were at this rehearsal. Oops, I forgot to flip it. So there we are. He's rehearsing. And he's just right over there. This is a guy named Martin Gellner, who's the conductor for Hans Zimmer, but it's the Hans Zimmer Orchestra. Hans was at the show the next day, but he was not on this side. And then I didn't even realize there was a guy playing guitar. Just some guy in a black cap. Well, until I met him the next day, I didn't realize that's Steve Vai, and he's an amazing guitarist. But at the time, I was like, "Who's that guy playing guitar? Why isn't Brian playing guitar?" Well, it's Steve Vai. So this is my friend Chase Masterson, and she's an actress, and she was on a Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, I think, 17 episodes. And we're just very thrilled. She had recently become very friendly with him. And there we are watching Brian May rehearse. And we're just thrilled. And they take a break. And Brian comes over to say hi to Chase. And he gives her a big hug. And hold on, let me get back to the Facebook post where you guys are. He comes over and he gives her a big hug and they chat for a second. And then she goes, "By the way, this is Brian Mallow." She either said my name or she said, "This is Brian Mallow, the science comedian." And Brian May goes, "Oh," he throws his head back. He goes, "Oh, I'm sorry I didn't recognize you." He goes, Brian May said to Brian Mallow, "I'm sorry I didn't recognize you. I see your stuff online all the time. It's brilliant." But you know how English people throw the word brilliant around. That sandwich was brilliant. We got to chat for a little while, and that was kind of mind-blowing. But the thing is, he's just a sweetheart of a guy. And you know that thing about you're never supposed to meet your heroes? Well, you can meet him. He's really nice, and he's that way to a lot of people, not just me. He's very, very kind. And, okay, so the rest of the week, he was really busy. I had a couple other encounters with him, but that was amazing. Okay, so that's 2019. And what kicked this all off is that Facebook just shared that memory. That was June 23rd, I think it said. So almost to the day, because I was in London last week and I saw two shows, the 20th and the 21st. And the 21st was the first International Stereoscopy Day. That's a new thing. And I don't exactly know the origins, but I wouldn't be surprised if the London Stereoscopic Company has something to do with that. But they've really inspired a community of people like me that are 3D enthusiasts now, and we like taking pictures, and sometimes I take pretty good ones. And since that contest, I've gone to other shows and taken other good stereos of Brian and Queen, and he's seen them. And we've chatted occasionally too on email. And recently, I hadn't talked to him in a long time, and I got kind of shy about it. But recently, I sent him some stuff, and he really liked it. And we talked for a few days. And we talked about actually talking, but he was about to launch a tour. But we had some great little emailing, and then he got busy. And then I decided, since I was going to be seeing him, and who knows when their next tour will be, I wanted to ask him a favor. And I was real nervous about it. But to remind him, I sent him an email and I attached a few good stereo photos of Queen. And I got to explain one other thing. Like the Queen stage has a main stage and then a long catwalk. And the catwalk is actually like the neck of a guitar. So you can imagine the main stage is kind of like the body of the guitar, and then there's this long neck, and there's even these light fixtures that are like the tuning knobs at the end of the neck of a guitar. So in London, they always have standing room only. They have general admission tickets around it. But you can't get right up to the stage. There's a barrier, and there's a pit. So when you're as close as you can be, it's a good 6 or 10 feet, I don't know, to the stage. And when you're trying to get good stereos, in that pit, there are security guards all around it, and they get in your way in your shots. And there are these light fixtures, and there's cameramen shooting video to feed the big screens. I'm sorry, this is a long damn story, I know. Regina, are you still here? Is anyone else? Here's what happened. On this tour, it would have been nice to have been able to meet with him, but they're being very careful about being in a COVID bubble. Good idea, because fools like us that want to be around them are catching COVID. So they're really not meeting with people on this tour, but he sometimes does. And that's why I say, you know, you can meet this hero, because a lot of people in the fan community have met him, and he's super kind. So I knew that that wasn't a possibility, but here's what I asked him. Could I be in the pit? Could I have a press pass and be in the pit to shoot stereo photos? And here's the one other thing is, if you have a standing ticket, once you get in there and get your position, that's your position for the show. It's packed and you can't move, which means you can only get stereo photos when they're wherever you are. Some people like to be at the front of the main stage. Some people I like to be at the end of the catwalk. So you can only get the good pictures when he's right there. But what I asked is, could I be in the pit with a press pass to shoot stereos? And he made it happen. I mean, if I think about it too hard, I'll cry. He really liked my stereos, and he's like, let me see. And he didn't promise, and then his personal assistant arranged it. But I didn't have confirmation of it until the day before. So I went to the one show with a standing ticket Monday. And sometime that day, I got confirmation that Tuesday I was going to be able to do that. And so I had a backstage pass. I had this press pass. Sorry, I don't have that visual aid. It's over there in my suitcase. But for the entire show, I had free reign to run around the pit and take pictures. And I signed a contract with Queen's production company. Tell that to 14-year-old Brian or 17-year-old Brian. No, Regina, I didn't get Roger's autograph because there was no meeting. But I signed the photos belong to them. And I had to do some prepping of them, and so they haven't even really seen them yet. I just turned them in because I divided them up, because there's some really quirky things about this camera. For instance, like if you had a DSLR, you could go pop, 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 pop. You could fire off 10 shots and get everything that you want. But this camera, you know what? I kind of want to time it, but how long is this? If you take a picture, I'm going to tell you I'm curious how long it takes to take the next picture. Hold on. Click. Now, there I could take a second one. I mean, come on, that was pretty long, right? Was it like 5 seconds? Whatever it is, it's not like a DSLR. It takes a long time, so you got to get the shot, and then you got to wait to take the next one. But imagine the pit around the stage. There's a long catwalk, and there's 2 sides to it. And sometimes where I want to be is way the hell over on the right, and sometimes way over on the left, and sometimes at the end of the catwalk or the side. And I wore a dark shirt, and I didn't want to be disruptive to the fans or the band. And for an hour 45 or whatever, I ran around like a madman, getting into the exact position to get the shot I wanted. And I'd seen the show before, and so I knew some things that were coming up. Like I knew during I Want It All that he's going to move to the front for his guitar solo. So in some cases, I kind of knew where to be. I didn't have it memorized, but I had a set list in my pocket, and I would pull it out, and I was like, okay, that's coming, and that's coming. And I took 588 stereo photos. And remarkably, an unbelievable amount of them came out decent. I mean, there were such a small amount that are crap. Some of them just don't, the focus didn't catch. And some are just kind of crappy. But I mean, 60 of them, 60 or 70 that were kind of crappy. And the others were just good exposures. And it's a finicky camera. And I just ran around, and it's during the show, I was really nervous beforehand, but when the show started, I just focused. I was just so engaged in what I was doing, just getting the next shot, get the shot, get the shot, looking, trying to figure out where to go. And it's about getting stereo photos. You want depth. So sometimes it's like you want to get Brian, but you want to be able to see Roger behind him, or get Adam Lambert and see Brian behind him. So I really haven't, I mean, there's some people in the stereo and Queen community that kind of know this, but this is the first I haven't posted anything about it yet because I can't share. I don't have the photos to share yet. The photos belong to them, and I'll have to get permission to share some. But it was thrilling. I signed a contract with Queen's Production. Are you kidding me? Try to explain that to little Brian. That's pretty hard to process. And when I was taking them, I was so focused on the job, I would just be checking to make sure the exposure was okay, because you have to use manual mode or it's crap. This camera in automatic mode, if the lighting is light, it's a long exposure and it's blurry, and you can't have that. So you have to use the manual mode, and you have to adjust the shutter speed throughout the show. Because there's sometimes it gets super bright and other times not as bright. So I was varying it a lot. And that's, a DSLR has a little dial on it that's real easy to do. Not this stupid camera. You have to enter a menu system with one click, enter the shutter speed part, change the shutter speed, and then click again to come out of it. And each of those things, it's not that responsive. And then you can take the next picture. And then you might have to change the shutter speed again. So when I was taking the pictures, I was just looking to check that the exposure was okay, just like glancing at it. I had no idea that I had 588 pictures. I didn't even know that after the show until I put them on the computer. But after the show, I sat down and looked at them, and I was very happy with them. I was like, oh my God, this one's good. Oh shit, this one's, oh my God, they're all good. So I haven't heard back yet, because 588 photos, I divided them up. I got rid of the bad ones, and then I divided them up into 4 folders of varying levels of quality. Sort of like favorites that was over 100, and then a tier 1 that was a couple hundred, and then a third folder that also had 100 and something, and then a fourth folder that are the less, like not even worth looking at except out of curiosity. So anyway, it took a little while to do a little processing and do that, because I was also immediately the next day I was traveling to Germany, and Lufthansa screwed me over, and my flight was a mess, and I was getting no sleep, and it took me a while to look at them and do that, and I turned them in, and I'm waiting to hear. But he already liked my other ones, and I'm not cautiously optimistic. I was so thrilled when I looked at them. I was very happy with them. And there's part of me that is 100% positive that he's going to be very happy with them and maybe impressed. And then there's the part of me that is just worried that he isn't going to be in. So that's my story. And then after all that, good news, man, it's like, oh my God, to do that, I had to get a COVID test on Monday and on Tuesday, the day before, and near the venue there was a testing station, and I did this, it had to be this uploadable version, but I had to get a negative test on Monday, and I did, and then I got a negative test on Tuesday, and I was able to do this. And then I don't know, then I was traveling Wednesday, and I wore myself ragged, and sometime by Wednesday or Thursday maybe, I was getting a cold. So I got here Friday and I tested positive Saturday. I don't know exactly when I was exposed. For those of you out there, I was very diligent with a very good mask. It wasn't an N9, but an FFP2, which they have over here, a nice German-made FFP2 mask. And every bit of my traveling in the airports and on tubes, in the subways in London on the tube, very few people were masking. the stats were real, though. In the airport, I wrote one funny line because huffing around the airport with my luggage and this mask on, it did impede my breathing a little bit. And I wrote this line that it's like something about looking around with envy at these maskless people's ability to breathe, but maybe soon they'll be envious of my ability to breathe. Well, that came around and kicked me in the ass. But I haven't really been short of breath, honestly. So it's I wasn't masked at the concert. Almost no one was. I mean, out of 18,000 people, probably 9 had masks on. Not 9,000. 9. Which could be none in German. But, so there you go. Somewhere in there, though, all my traveling, I was masked. But when I was in London and then in Germany with my friend, people were real lax. But I heard I haven't been keeping up with it, but I'm hearing numbers are going up, at least here. I don't know what's going on in the States. But look, I'm really vaccinated with the Moderna vaccine, 4 shots. I've had my second booster, so I'm fully vaccinated, but I did some unsafe stuff, and I got it. And I felt pretty shitty for a couple days, and I feel a lot better today. And let me respond to a couple comments. Bill says, time to upgrade your camera. Believe me, there is a new digital, this is the thing. This is what we have. When you see the pictures, you won't say it though, because the pictures came out really nice. But a new digital 3D camera has just come out, but it's its first model, and there's some, I've read some reviews, and there's some problems with it. Numbers are going up in New York, Elizabeth said, and they're quite high everywhere. And Regina, I don't think Denis is doing it because actually, I mean, he could be, but this hasn't had anything to do with LSC. The contract I signed was with Queen's production company, not with LSC, the London Stereoscopic Company. Regina, you're getting your 5th Moderna in 6 weeks. I'm not seeing all the comments. I wonder if I'm missing any. I don't understand why when I press on this 45 comments button, all I'm seeing are like the last 4 or 5. Maybe I have to hit play. Will that change it? If I hit play now, can I see the comments? How come I can't get the comments to open in a separate tab, or I'm only seeing a few? Anyway, I don't want that to play. So that's my story. And honestly, I shouldn't be talking this much because I've made my throat raw, but I am pretty excited about it. I'm optimistic that he will like them. But he's on tour right now, so he's kind of busy. In fact, he's also in Germany. Tonight, they're probably done now. Yeah, he finished up a show a little while ago in Cologne, Germany. And then he's coming, what might be a little closer, to Berlin. And does he have another date here? I don't know, but he's not that far away. We're in the same country, but I have work to do, if not for this. Yeah, Jane. You know, I was negative on Monday and Tuesday, but sometime between then and getting here to the gig that made this whole thing possible, I got COVID, and it's threatening my ability to do my job here. So Sarah Rugg was correct, for sure, to be one of the 9 people in a stadium of 18,000 who was wearing a mask. That was smart of her, although she wasn't actually wearing a good mask, actually. She wasn't wearing a good mask. What was it? Was it like a cloth mask or something? So, but I happen to know because I interviewed an aerosol expert, an environmental engineer who has done the research, and she says any mask is better than no mask, even a cloth mask. She's not recommending a cloth mask, but any mask is better than no mask, according to the science and the scientists that study it. But you're better off with a better mask. I don't feel like there's any reason to wear a cloth mask anymore anyway, because, for instance, what's popular here is this European version, these FFP2s. These things, the way they're designed, they have a real nice fit on your neck, and they poof out away from your mouth. Cloth masks are the least useful or the least protective, and they also get in your mouth. So this thing provides better protection. It's a better material and it's a better fit. And it stays away from your mouth a little better, so you can breathe a little better. It also has a better fit over your nose, and if you wear glasses, you don't fog your glasses up as much. So there's no reason for me to ever wear a cloth mask again. This is superior in every way. And by the way, you know, one of the things about masks, can we take an aside here? Is you might have people say, you know, the holes in the mask, they are not smaller than a virus. And that's true. But they don't have to be. Because the material they're made of, there are some electrostatic effects, so that even though the holes are big enough for a virus to pass through, first of all, the virus isn't just floating in air by itself. It's in a droplet. Either all of it or almost all of it is in droplets that are way bigger than viruses, and there are electrostatic effects that cause the droplets to get trapped and caught. So I have firsthand have interviewed an expert in this field, so don't listen to deniers. You know what? I've been very well taken care of here, Jane. I talked about this earlier. The people here are really taking good care of me, and I have tea and honey and throat lozenges. But oh, Jane, I probably didn't get it from you. How were you feeling when I saw you? Where were you in your relationship to it? But yeah, it's okay. I'm coming out of it. Today, I woke up feeling a lot better. The only reason my throat is sore today is because I've been talking way too much. So when I woke up today, I felt and sounded a lot better. And I also realized I'm talking pretty loud for a hotel room that someone's in there, but you know how I am. This is how I am. So anyway, I should probably wrap this up, and I am doing some, oh crap. I have my window open. I have the little, insects are attracted to light. I have the little half curtain, like a little, you know what, you can almost see it. Can you see there is a large insect that has been attracted? Is it a fly? Go back outside, dude. You're not wanted here. We don't like your kind. Ah, shit. There's a bunch of them, too. Let's turn off some lights. Okay, that's too much light. So, look, I should call it a night. Why do you people keep me up this late? Why do you talk so much? Seth, that's right. Brundlefly. Oh, crap. Can you hear it? Can you hear that? Holy crap. Holy crap, that's a big one. It better be a fly. Hold on. Holy crap, they have big flies in Germany. Do you have anything to say for yourself? Insect paparazzi, Brian Mallow. I'll make you a star. Come on, show us your acting chops. This is like that, Craig. This is like the scene in The Fly when he climbs the wall and he's on the ceiling, and it's. Hold on, I can't flip the camera. I love that movie so much, and there's this part. Hold on. You know, he's like climbing the walls and everything, and Gina Davis comes in, and then he lifts his shirt because like stuff is starting to grow, and he goes, "What's this? I don't know." And it's so funny. But this guy, I'm gonna have to do my thing where he's slow moving, and I'm gonna have to catch him with a cup and escort him outside, because he doesn't need to die, but he needs to leave me alone. That is a big fly. So my first day here yesterday, I went to this place and I got what they called it a kebab, but it was really like a gyro. And I was eating it, and there was an open window, and I felt something by my hair, and I was so surprised. I reached, and it turned out to be big and moving, and I like flicked it away, and then it ended up being a bee, and it stung me right here, and I had a little reaction briefly, but it went down. So yeah, you can't at night have a wide open window and light in here unless you want Seth Brundle to fly in. Yeah, horsefly. They need a fly swatter. Yeah, you know, I tend to remove most things non-lethally now in this part of my life, except roaches die on sight if at all possible. Mosquitoes, they drew first blood. And the other one. Did you ever hear it? Did you hear this buzzing at all? Is that what you said yes to? Ah, shit. Oh my God. There's a lot of little bugs in here too. I'm gonna have to, I don't know how to escort them out. This was a mistake. The window could be open all day and nothing comes in, but at night, they come in because of the light. You understand this. Apparently I didn't, because we have a problem over there where the light is hitting. So I guess what I could do is leave the light on. I could leave the light on in the bathroom and go to sleep, and they'll all go to the bathroom. But otherwise, I have created a problem here. Maybe for right now, let's just shut this so we don't get any new ones. And I'll deal with that. But anyway, thanks for listening, letting me talk your ears off. Unfortunately, it's possible that I'm already 5 days or more. I don't know when I was exposed before my symptoms came in, but when. So it's possible 5-6 days after exposure you could be testing negative. So the problem is, let's say I do one of these rapid tests tomorrow and I'm negative. It's going to take more than one negative test before I'm allowed. They're going to have to play it safe, and I'm not going to be able to immediately mingle with the meeting. So there's one cool Nobel laureate I was going to interview tomorrow, and he's leaving town so after that, so I'm going to miss him. But I suspect I'll get a negative test, but I might have to test negative for a couple days before they think it's wise. And meanwhile, I'm right here, 3/4, half a mile from the meeting. I'm on this beautiful medieval island, and I'm in a hotel room. It's ridiculous. Juliet said, great stories. Looking forward to seeing your stereos and hoping you get better soon. Thank you. Please keep me posted how you feel. Thank you, Regina. Jane, yeah, good strategy. Because conservatively, there are 50 or 60 tiny insects up in the corner where see that lamp and how it's shooting a light upward? They're very small, but right up in that area over there where the light is hitting, they're congregating. They're having a little meeting in the light. Thank you, Elizabeth. But yeah, like I said, despite the rawness of my voice, it's just that I did a lot of voice to text today, and a lot of people were checking on me. And so thanks. This isn't the kind of video I would usually have on my YouTube and Twitter and Facebook. Maybe I'll delete it from those other ones. I should have just gone to Facebook. But, damn that guy. He's loud. He's the ringleader, I think. All right, so I'm going to do some more video from here, and hopefully within a day or two I'll be doing stuff. But I did get to do, part of the meeting is virtual, so I'm going to participate virtually and do some things. And I'm going to probably maybe interview some of the online attendees who also couldn't be here. So I'll say goodnight, and y'all be careful. You take care of yourselves. Take it seriously. This time for me it wasn't life-threatening, but you know, you never know. So thank you. Good night. We'll be back though right after this.